Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Go to Market series. This episode is actually brought to you by Growthverse, right? And the focus of today's episode is actually on community relations. And why is this even an important topic? Why is community relations a thing that we should even worry about, or a very potential job role that should even make our list? The reason being that it's not just a growing job role or there's a growing demand, there's a potential upscale, a potential boom in these kind of roles due to kind of technologies that are upcoming or that are currently even taking the space already, like AI, like uh, metaverse, like VR, like and currently blockchain, which currently demands the most from these kind of roles. We can see many companies starting up their products and launching a community alongside because it's a growth strategy. And anything that is related to growth, any company would put their investment into it. So you can actually be so sure that this role is something that every company will mandatorily need to invest in. So it's best you are here right now and learning all the tips and nuggets on how to get into the role and how to be the best at it while this industry is booming. Even though the demand right now is even high with developer relations, developer advocacy, and all these roles are not even that technical. They don't necessarily even need you to be a programmer. That is the best part of it. And even if you're a programmer and you want to move over to a non-coding role, this is your chance. So quickly, and we have someone so special, someone that has been in this space for years. It was formerly a software engineer, so it actually makes it even easy to actually understand that someone of that skill set can actually even come to this kind of area of growth and still thrive. So even if you're a programmer right now, you can make it happen. And if you are not, you can also come on in. And who is this person? His name is Idris Olubisi. He is a globally renowned developer relations engineer. And he has not just done this for companies, like he has actually done it in many companies, many crypto Web3 companies like Alchemy, Maraverse, and he has his articles everywhere around the world, around Free Code Camp, Angel Hack, Log Rockets, like quite a number of top publishing platforms host his article because of the quality he has churned out. And today, he's going to be revealing the secrets, the ways he had taken step by step to actually get to the point that all of these companies are reaching out to him to come and represent them, to come and speak with their own people because he has the hack. And this hack will be revealed to everybody here on this episode. Also, one other great thing, this man has had over 1 million views over his articles. So that tells you the impact he has even made as a person. Also, he's a backend developer for She Codes Africa, where he's a backend engineering lead. Also, he has his own company. He's a founder himself as well. See all of this in one person. He's a founder as well of Web3 Africa, which is a Web3 company trying to introduce more people into the Web3 space, right? And we'll be lucky to have him. On this episode. You'll be sharing all of these great tips. You will be marveled at the kind of information he's going to give out, and some things are even exclusive that he hasn't shared anywhere else before. That's going to share it here today. From tools, from even using ChatGPT. You're wondering how to use it? You get all of that in this episode. So stay tuned and join the episode. And at the end of it, drop your questions, your comments. We'll be having a Twitter space as well, possibly to answer some of these questions and get everything wrapped up into one piece of good content for everyone listening and watching this video and trying to make a change, trying to get into tech, into the non-coding part of tech. And trust me, it's actually rewarding. It pays the dough. So you can be rest assured that you get the most value from this video. Welcome, Mr. Idris Olubisi.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Quickly, to make things very fast, we really want to explain maybe in 1 or 2 words his passion and what he's currently doing right now as well.
All right. Thank you so much for that. My name is Idris Olubisi, like you mentioned, and I am a software engineer and also a technical writer. I'm currently working as a developer relations engineer and the founder of Web3 Africa, a community focused on connecting the dots within the Africa ecosystem. And not just that, but also onboarding, supporting, and educating Web3 builders in the Web3 ecosystem. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So let's get right into it.
Okay, quickly, just a very short recap on what we're talking about today, which is community relations. And
Okay.
community relations is not just very, very small, as the name just like looks very succinct and very basic. There's actually a whole lot of space in it. And why today is very, very important is because the future of marketing that we believe, at least in Growthverse, is that the future of how marketing will be done will be driven by communities. And it has started already with blockchain, that almost every blockchain company has a community, as a community manager, as a community relations engineer, as these new different type of roles that are not so popular yet. And we see that happening with different type of things that will come up, like with AI coming out right now. There are a lot of Discord communities that are that's just springing up left and right. They need people to manage these people, to manage this new found community. It is more than social media. So we believe
Yeah.
this role is just at the board, and Mr. Idris Olubisi will do a lot of justice to why this role is very special and to different branches of these roles, because there's actually quite a number that is just under these community relations, community engineers. So we just want to quickly ask a very quick question. What are the
Yeah.
opportunities under this umbrella that anybody can actually think and follow?
There are a lot of opportunities under this particular role. Community relations generally, it's kind of broad, but drilling down to like a bit of it or what it entails, basically, you could say opportunities for marketers focusing on developer ecosystem, opportunities for evangelists. They literally call them, like, it varies depending on on companies. Some do call them like developer evangelists. Some would call them community leads or community evangelists. And we also have the developer marketing. Those are the guys, like I mentioned earlier, they're the ones focused more on marketing, the marketing aspects, but now their audience is kind of different, focusing on developers within the space. Then we also have those that are content specialists within the space. They try does not have anything to do with coding. All they do is to create content, create um, traffic driven content, I would say, and also promoting the business, whatever business or what the business or the product is all about. Then we have the developer advocates within this space too. This is specifically for those that have technical background and they want to level up, they want to do more within the space, and they want to do more than just coding. So all of these opportunities is kind of under the umbrella of community relations. And another thing you should know is that being within this space, you could be a social media manager, or you could be a Discord expert, a content specialist, like I mentioned earlier. Those roles are basically under this particular umbrella, and you can literally just transition from a non-technical background or even a technical background into these roles.
Oh, that's excellent, and I believe that's where the juice is actually. And I
Yeah.
will quickly now say we know that there are actually a number of roles. You've mentioned about 4 or 5, which
Yeah.
tells you that there's actually a lot of opportunities. But for someone that is just starting out without even any technical knowledge at all, what are
Yeah.
the potentials? Potentials in this case meaning the job opportunities, the earning, the perks that comes with it. What should anyone expect, or why should they even want to pick this role?
Yeah, sincerely, it's huge, I would say, depending on the kind of company you work with. And getting started you should be part of a community. I think that's the best way to start. And being part of the community is not just as a member, but as an active member or a volunteer. So I've seen a lot of people try to transition into the space probably as a community manager, developer advocate, social media specialist, all of those fields, but they just want to transition into the space and start getting paid. Some of these opportunities that at the end of the day you get huge, perks like the regular travel, all of these things that comes with employee when you get employed with the company and all of those things. They literally apply to what this space is all about too. So if you're transitioning into the space, you should also consider that you are new in the space, right? Irrespective of the experience you have, maybe in tech, outside tech, you should be open to learn more, and you should also be open to feedback. So in this space, we've seen like all of these roles I mentioned, their average salary is ranges between 80,000 USD per annum to 120,000 for entry levels. So, but you need to get it right before you be
Yeah.
paid that amount. But how would you do that if you don't have experience? Is where volunteering for roles comes in, right? There are literally a lot of Discord servers, Slack
Wow.
channels, a lot of community everywhere. So you could just find one that you find most interesting. If you are a male or a female, literally anyone could help you. So now you're not just joining as a member because you have your own goal, you want to be a
Yeah.
better person or you want to be a better community lead. You should understand that most of these communities, most of them, they are non-profit, and
Mm.
they literally just do it voluntarily. So you should also be ready or available to volunteer to take up a role within the space. That's how you get to understand it. So doing it, putting all your best into it, would allow you to understand even better within the space. So when you're interviewing for potential roles, you already have things to talk about and you have things to tell. So that way they could, instead of giving you a scripted interview question, now they will change the direction of the question and just ask you based on what you shared with them. And because you already did it, it would kind of make the whole process very seamless, and you know what to talk about. So those are like the things and how you could transition from any fields, basically either technical background or non-technical background, or you're not even in the tech space at all. You can literally just transition into this space as a community manager, social media specialist, content specialist, developer advocate, developer evangelist, a developer marketing manager, a marketing lead, or a content creation lead. So some people would call them content lead, some would call them content manager, some would call them technical content manager. Um, they're kind of the same thing, but depending on company, they try to give it a different name. But primarily, they're doing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's actually quite excellent. And thank you for sharing all of that. And I
You're
think
welcome.
to make easy for everyone following, it's that communities are springing up more than we can actually imagine. And communities are not just on Telegram. They are on
Yeah.
Telegram, they're on Slack, they're on Discord, like you had mentioned, and more of these things. They need to nurture people. For example, I joined the community a few days ago, like for marketers in some areas, and today in the past 3 days, I've been getting consistent messages about, oh, you're welcome to the community, you need to do this, you need to do that. And indirectly, I've actually been getting closer to that community. Like when I open my Slack, I want to check what's going on. And I believe so it's actually a whole lot of things and a lot of potentials coming forward. So just to move on. So I'll quickly say, what are the competency models for this job, for this role? What kind of skill buckets do people need to actually succeed in this role? Like for example, if it's they need this batch of skill set, they need this batch of skill set to actually succeed, so that they can actually see if it matches with what they are interested in or what kind of things they like.
All right. So thank you so much for that question. I think this is a very important question, because a lot of people, they have the mindset of how do I start, but at the end of the day, they try to just take all of this information they get online, they just take it in, then at the end of the day just get exhausted. So but the right way, or let me say like the required skill set that you need to step your foot into the space, is number one, your interest. That's the first thing you should think of, your interest in the space. So you need to find the space interesting. You need to know that this particular space you're going into, it's kind of a new world on its own, and you should be open to feedback. So that way, if you already have that mindset, it will help you to overcome like you, because you definitely come across like a few challenges, right? And these challenges could be like maybe networking with people within the space. Maybe they try to talk about things that you don't understand yet, and you're still trying to find your way. Or maybe you didn't get the proper onboarding into the community, so you don't know what is happening. You're just seeing a lot of messages everywhere. So that's number one for me. The number two is the fact that I mentioned earlier that this space you could we have like a technical part and a non-technical aspect. So if you're transitioning into the space as a complete beginner with no technical experience, learning about the space is number two you should take note of. So how do you learn about the space? You can't just read up. That's the truth. You can't read up about the space online and you think you know everything about it. You need to join a community, like one of the biggest community, or you should look for something far away. You can check out communities within your region. Check out, see what they are doing. If it's something you find interesting and if it's something that aligns with your goal, you can join them. Then gradually you participate. That way you can learn more about the community. You can see what those existing content lead, social media managers, and the community lead, what they are doing, and that way you know that okay, this is how it is done within the space. So as a non-technical person, you need to understand that on like getting to know the community and understanding the basis is important. And there's no technical skills required, sincerely. What is mandatory for you is communication skills, right? So but how do you learn those communication skills is when you're already part of the community, you start interactions, you start engagement on your own. Try as much as possible to make it organic, not promoting any content, but just trying to connect with people within the space. That would automatically improve your communication skills, which is something that will be super beneficial for you when you end up getting a role as a community person within the space. So but for somebody that have like a technical experience, so you might be thinking of developer relations engineer or developer advocate, or that kind of space, that kind of field within the space. So all your technical skills is required, but the truth is that it's just 30% technical and 70% community. So the technical part of it is just for you to follow up, but most importantly, you'll be doing things like communication, building communities, networking, trying to create like an initiative that could involve everyone within the community space. So if you have the mindset of, okay, maybe when you become a developer advocate or a developer relations engineer, you'll be writing code, you'll be shipping bugs. No, that's not going to happen within the space. What you'll be doing more is documentation and building community, creating strategy. You spend a lot of time on docs, right? Because any plan you want to do or any initiative you're thinking right in your head, you need to document it. You need to follow due processes to get all of those things approved, and you can end up like 2 weeks straight without doing anything coding, and then probably you gradually move your direction to the content part and community building. So all of those skills are required for you if you are somebody with a technical background. But if you don't have technical background, then you're good to go. What you need to do is to learn about the community, like I mentioned earlier. Then when you learn about the community, improve on your communication skills and network as much as you can.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for that. I think that's actually very quite easy to understand. But I want to say, so for me, I want to get started in this space. I
Yeah,
want to become a community relations
yeah,
specialist, community relations engineer, no matter the industry, maybe developers or anyone.
yeah.
Um, when do I know it's time to start or it's time to take the next step? what would be the first thing? Like you had mentioned that I should join the community. So when I join the community, when should I feel confident enough to start applying for these kind of jobs and say, okay, I think I fit this role.
Yeah, exactly. When you join a community, the first thing you should have in mind is that you're joining this community because one, you want to contribute to the community. Two, you also want to benefit from the community. So, with that right mindset, you already have a goal, right? So, you're not just joining a community just like any other member, but you're joining the community because you want to contribute and you also want to benefit, right?
Mm.
So, now after joining the community, you should try and take note of the admins within the space, take note of who are the moderators within that community, take note of the content lead, take note of like the founder or the lead or the core team members within the space. So why are you doing all of this is because you want to be sure that when they drop information, you are always updated. Try and turn on your notification for that community, get to understand what they are doing, and in your own free time, if you have anything to contribute, you can of course contribute. There are most communities, they might not really tell you that we are looking for a moderator. Some of them won't open up, but the way you interact within the space, trying to help people, maybe they ask the question, even if it's technical or non-technical, you try to add your own opinion, trying to explain it the way you understand it, and you kind of follow up with all of those things. People would notice, like those moderators would notice, and they could easily just DM you if you are interested. But aside doing all of that, you might be thinking that, okay, why don't I just join the community and just message the admin directly and say, hey, I would like to be a moderator? The reason is that you need to give somebody a reason why you want to do something, right? If an employer wants to employ you, you need to give them what it takes for them to be convinced that yes, this person can actually do the job. So that's exactly the same approach you should take when you're thinking of, I want to become a moderator within this community, but I want it to come naturally. So coming naturally means that you might need to go the hard way, because of course there's no shortcut. So the hard way in this case means that you contribute, you follow up with maybe meetings, if they have any town hall meetings, if you have anything, you kind of follow up, and just to keep you posted and updated about what's happening within the space. So that way, if you end up being a moderator, after some few activities, you can start trying to apply to similar role somewhere. So the reason why I said you can start applying is because some applications takes, like, the process takes a lot. Some application, when you apply, they just reject you automatically. Maybe you don't meet the standard, or they use all this their ATS tool to just scan CV and just reject you. So that's the reason why I said once you get the role, once you are in maybe 2 months in, 3 months in within the space, and you are actively contributing or leading any initiative within the community, then you can start applying. So when you start applying, when you get interviewed, when you get to like maybe an interview stage, you kind of pass the application stage, and they schedule a call with you for an interview, you'll be able to even learn more about the role, because there are some questions that they will ask you about what you are doing within the community. How do you engage them? If there's nobody rather interested in learning, maybe they are tired, there's a kind of fatigue, or somehow they are not interested, how do you keep them going? How do you keep them motivated? How do you make them contribute even though when they think they can't do it? So those are the questions that, when after the interview, it will kind of shape your thinking for you to understand that, okay, I'm not just here as a moderator. I need to know what is happening within my community. I need to know what my community members want, and I need to make sure that we are not going outside the goal, the mission, and the vision of that particular community. So
Oh,
to summarize, there's no best time to start, but the best time to start is now. So that's like a summary of it. So the now I'm talking about is when you join that community and you get that opportunity to lead, either as a moderator, as a contributor, as whatsoever role, just make sure you are
Yeah.
doing your job correctly, paid or unpaid. That's another thing to take note of, paid
That's
or unpaid.
yeah.
You are most likely not going to get paid for doing that,
At least
those
for the first one.
moderators work. Yeah, at least for, yeah, for the first one, right? So then, but going forward, you understand the role better, and if you are, fast enough to learn, then your communication skills would improve over time, and even I could say it will improve like very fast, because before you know it, you start interacting directly, and everyone within the community would recognize that, oh, this person is special. I think he or she has something to offer this community.
Okay, yeah, that's quite perfect. I would say so. Join a community, start to learn the ropes, notice the people that are there, and after you've built experience for like 1, 2, 3 months, start applying. Because even the questions they will ask you in those interviews, you can actually reference what you've done, not
Yeah.
just what you read in a textbook. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I would say, so what does a day to day look like once you join, or in this kind of roles? What's the average day to day? So on a day, I need to do these kind of things, so people know, does it fit my schedule? Does it fit my kind of lifestyle? Yeah.
Yeah, so it varies based on community, right? And so, for example, Web3 Africa, what we do basically is we kind of schedule activities a week ahead. So for next week, we kind of we schedule what is going to happen next week, this week, right? So that way you understand when you're supposed to post, you understand when you are supposed to relate, you understand when we are supposed to have a Twitter space, we are supposed to have a community meeting. So all of those things is kind of documented. We have like a schedule. But some other communities I'm part of, some of them, prepare a schedule for like a month, some 6 months. But the reason why we try to break it down to weekly is because if you do 1 month, we are all human beings, right? Anything could happen, any of us could fall sick or something would happen. So it means that if we've already assigned this thing to you since 2 months ago, and for some reason you are unavailable, nobody would be able to step in to do it because it was assigned to you. And everyone, imagine somebody else within the community moderators team, they've been doing their own parts, then it gets to your point, to your turn, and you are unavailable, or you are sick, or you are out of reach or anything, and they'll be like, okay, it's this person's turn to do his or her job, and they might not be able to step in properly for you to do that same role. So that's why we kind of drill it down to like weekly. So we'll be sure that this person is available to do it. If there's any emergency, we could quickly attend to it. So the day to day, basically having that schedule just makes life easier. So you know what you're posting on Monday, what you are supposed to do on Tuesday. If there's any specific initiative that um the community is currently running. Maybe there's a training program, there's a boot camp, or there's a Twitter, I don't know, Twitter space, a webinar, maybe the community is currently doing anything. You plan your week towards that particular activities that is currently going on. So you know that this thing is currently going on. So what are the things required to make this thing a huge success? That this thing in this case that I'm mentioning could literally be webinar, or maybe a cohort training, or mentorship program, or all of those things. So that way, when you wake up today, you know that you have 3 things to do, or 2 things, or 4 things, or 5 things to do. Post in the morning, post in the afternoon, register, like check in with the members undergoing training if they are doing good, um, kind of connect them to mentors to answer their questions and all of that.
Yeah.
So from day to day is kind of different. Like what you do yesterday might not be what you'll be doing today, and might literally not be what you do tomorrow. But the truth is that the primary thing there is that you always have something to do.
Mm.
And if you plan it properly, like if the team plan it properly, you won't
Yeah.
get choked with any of those tasks, because it will be assigned properly and nobody would be under pressure for any reason.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And I like the way the point where you stopped, which is the team. So, what does the average team look like? What kind of reporting structure do you think exists in these kind of roles?
Yeah, so if you are we kind of have like, okay, let me just talk about the technical part first, and then we go to the non-technical part. So the technical part, you are most likely going to see like a head ecosystem. There's a specific role called head of ecosystem. Then drilling down, you we have like head of developer relations. Then going down a little bit, you have developer advocates, maybe senior developer advocates. And then going down again, you have like developer advocates and maybe developer marketing person, community manager, social media, manager, content specialist. All of those guys, they work under the developer relations team, right? So from a non-technical perspective, if you are within the space, you are most likely going to be working with your community lead.
Mm.
You are most likely going to be working with your community lead. So working with the community lead, you can be a content person, you can be a strategic person, you can be a social media manager, but you are most likely going to work with your community lead because he's like the overseer of what is happening within the social media space, within your community, that's internally, and also how people perceive your community. He's most likely going to see all of that. Then he will be able to assign duties where necessary.
Okay. I think yeah, that's very good. And the way you structured it, so I think that points to the next question, which says, how can someone scale very fast? And this is the point. We want anybody subscribed to Growthverse that there are no more ways to like start any roles, right? This is general way.
Yeah.
Course online, join and start moving up. Stay there for 3 years, 4 years. But that is not the best way, at least from experience. There are some things that some people do specifically, and it gets them moved the ladder very, very fast. So I don't remain a community manager for 5 years. I don't remain a DevRel for next 6 years. So what are the
Yeah.
things that you think are very important to make people scale very fast, to become a senior advocate, to become the head of ecosystem, or to become the content lead? What are those arcs that one can actually put in place to scale very fast?
So I would say you should be open to learn more things. So for example, now if you get a role as a content manager or a developer relations, you should know that this is like a starting point. This is a new challenge for you. You shouldn't relax. So that way you'll be curious to even do more than what is expected within your company. And that would literally turn out that people would like people I'm talking about now, the people on your team would recognize your efforts and know what you are doing. You deliver what the company wants, which is part of your job description, and also you go out of the box to even do something maybe on your own, but indirectly you are representing the company. So one thing you should also understand is that if you are doing work related in this role, you are most likely going to be doing something outside work. So you should know that all of those things that you're doing outside work that you think is not relevant to your work, indirectly it's relevant because there's no way you introduce yourself and you won't mention probably the company you currently work for, right?
You mean
And that,
engagements?
yeah, doing
Okay.
engagements like maybe when you for example, you are a community manager for your own company, and maybe a community somewhere invited you to come speak in their Twitter space, or they're having a physical event and they invite you as a speaker. Those things are kind of outside maybe a dedicated, maybe what your company is sponsoring, because this one is just like invitation directly to you. So you don't think that's just that's just something out of work, but it's something that is indirectly impacting your work, and they would also notice, and not just because they would notice, but because you are growing, you are building your network, and those are the things that you can leverage when you want to scale faster. So now scaling faster also means that you can be a community manager, then move from community manager. Okay, don't let me start from community manager. Let me say be a moderator, move from a moderator to a contributor, move from a contributor to a community lead, move from a community lead to a senior community specialist, or if you can even start doing consultation, being a consultant for
Mhm.
another community because of your experience, just trying to guide them and you work for them like a freelance project, a side project, and you get paid for it. Then, if you now want to really move away from maybe being a specialist in community or a senior community person, you now need to pick a niche, right? That you want to. I don't want to use the word transition again, right?
Yeah,
You're already in that
already
space,
there.
or yeah, you can decide to say, okay, I want to focus on managerial things. Now you need to do like maybe exams or do some learning on how to manage people, and that way you can easily open doors to become like a project manager. You can literally open another ways for you to become something that is more of managerial than community building. And don't forget that I mentioned that we have like community lead, you have like DevRel lead, head of ecosystem. So you can go as far as even becoming head of ecosystem, leading a new initiative within your company, leading a new initiative outside your company, consulting with other companies to even make their life better, and any from all of those things. So it won't look like your growth is stagnant, right?
Yeah.
You are actually growing and scaling fast, just like what you asked, means that you need to be able to build a solid network. And you can't just build a solid network if you are maybe too lazy to connect outside with to connect with people outside your work. So if you are too lazy to do that, then it means that you don't want to have like connection with new people, to meet new people, because those are the network that you leverage. Even though you are not asking anybody for a role or trying to tell them, hey, come and employ me, or do you have a role, but they would notice you. So there are some places they will speak for you and you won't even know, right? Because they've
Yeah.
seen all your work rates, they know how good you are, then they know how passionate you are in that your specific role.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's very good, and I think you've already even answered part of the next question, which is about the relationships people need to build that will help
Yeah.
them flow faster. But I believe you've mentioned one, which is very important, is to like try to network out of your work.
Yeah.
But I think we now need to now bring it home, and even to you, 'cause at least um, based on your own experience, maybe you've had to work at different companies, even by contributing to Free Code Camp,
Yeah.
Alchemy, like all of these very very big Web3 companies. So how did that happen? How did you get into that space? How did you make that happen?
Okay, yeah. So I'm like really heavy on content creation. I'm really really heavy on content creation because I found it. I don't want to say easy because content creation is not that easy. So I find it interesting, right? It goes back to my very first point that you need to be interested in whatsoever you're doing. So I find it so interesting, and it becomes like, okay, I need to create content. Okay, I'm sleeping right now. Okay, I'm relaxing. Then after relaxation, what happens? Okay, let me create one content. Sometimes it's not even for people. I don't even think of creating content for people. I just create content for my own use case or my own learning later on. Then at the end of the day, publishing it, people would find it interesting and it would also help them. So I'm so heavy on content creation. So after probably creating a few content on my blog or writing for Free Code Camp, writing for Section Engineering, it kind of opened doors to other platform to reach out, and we agree on whatever terms and condition to create content for them. And because I'm heavy on content, I am always open to such opportunities, and unless it's not within my technical skills or my niche, because I've seen some roles that are really, really like well-paying roles, but they are not within my niche, and I don't want to kind of I don't want to. I'm trying to get the word. I don't want to distract my audience by producing what like I'm not used to doing, right? Just producing something that is totally different. So they might start wondering what's happening. Is it because this guy got paid to write this content, then he has forgotten that he have like an audience already that probably they are waiting for, his regular content. So that kind of
Yeah.
opened doors to me naturally. This is not something that you need to apply. You might end up applying to some roles. Please don't get me wrong. You might end up applying to some roles to get writing gigs and all of that. But your existing content that you have would help you even speak better. So you do less talk because they've already seen your content, and most of the conversation would be around how much is your rate, what are you going to do, would like to have you on board, what's the steps, what's also the plan, and all of that. So I'm writing for those platforms um, came in handy because uh, I kind of create content regularly, and
Yeah.
that brings like other opportunities for me to
Okay.
try out, and which is another challenging thing because of course what they want you to write about might be something very new to you, and you need to step up your game. You need to learn, you
Mm.
need to research before you be able to write about them.
Okay. So bringing it home, I
Yeah,
mean, back to someone that is just starting out, and you mentioned something about networking to
yeah.
maybe outside of work. Now we're talking about content creation. But after I've created my content, how do I distribute them? What are the first
Yeah.
steps I should be looking at to distribute them?
Yeah,
To
so I would kind of
business?
tell you one secret. It's a super secret, but
Oh, that's
I'm
why.
going to say it right now. I got 80% of my writing gigs or content creation from Twitter. I got those DMs directly from on Twitter, right? And this is not DM from one random employee. This is DM from CEOs. In fact, most of them they might not really be involved in the hiring process, but what would they just message you? Hey, I like your content. Do you mind, or would you be open to write for us? And if you tell them, oh yes, I'm interested, they will just kind of forward the conversation to their technical recruiting officer or like HR or whatever. And the person won't even ask you anything because it comes from the CEO. They
Yeah,
just give
true.
you the role directly. Yeah, so leveraging social media is very, very important. That's where I'm
Mm.
going to. That's why I mentioned Twitter, right? So
Yeah.
it's not only Twitter, please. You can leverage LinkedIn very well. LinkedIn is also very, very good, right?
Hmm.
But you need to start from somewhere. So you might be wondering that, oh, I just created my Twitter account 5 days ago. I have one follower or zero followers. Who are my audience? But the truth is that you need to first streamline or clean up your timeline. So that's what I did while I was starting out when I wanted to focus on, using my social media. I unfollowed all the music artists, film
Wow.
producer. I unfollowed all of them. Even my club, I followed literally every player in the club. I unfollowed all of them. I just follow only the club because I know that once the club posts, I could get update on what is happening.
What you need to
And
do.
musicians, I followed all of them. I was so sure about them because I kind of get so much noise from the entertainment industry. I unfollowed them, then now started following those people that are within my niche. So if I'm a marketer, I would just look for, we have experts, we have those people that
Mm.
spend 10 years, 20 years within the space. I would just follow them closely. Most of them do drop like hint, tips, professional
Those nuggets.
experience. They'll
Mm.
just tweet it randomly and it could literally help people. So you follow those people. Why are you following them? You're following them because you want to learn from them. You're also following them because you want to contribute to what they're saying. For example, you are also experienced. Maybe you are experienced, you have experience in a particular niche, right? And now someone asked a question that is relating to that niche. You don't have the direct answer, but you have something to contribute. You can reply. If you are lucky, the large following or that particular
Mm.
mentor that you are following might respond to it. There's one hack about the Twitter algorithm is that when somebody that is not following you somehow interact with your post, maybe reply or a like, Twitter at some point will start showing your content on the
To more
person's
people.
page, and also to more people as the person
Mm.
audience too. It's not as if you are following the person is following you. You are the one following the person. But at the end of the day, the person would see your content, and if he or she has like contribution, they will contribute. This is like my experience. Like, it's not something I read from, but it's something that have happened and I've
Practical.
experienced it. I met a lot of people rather on like in real life at events, and they tell me, I've seen your content, are you not this? Then when I check, I'm the one following them, they are not following me, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how that happens. So that's where I kind of took out some time to study how interaction happens on Twitter. So engagement, maybe somebody just like your post, or you reply, even if they don't like your post, you reply to that large following account, you reply to their tweets regularly, you try to contribute something meaningful, your tweets will now start appearing on their followers timeline too, right? Especially when it's really, really useful, or when it's a quality responses. So Twitter is one, LinkedIn is two. Um, you can use Facebook, right? But the thing about Facebook is that depending on the group that you are, so if you are part of any content writing group, marketing group, community group, then you can start dropping your content there also. You definitely get noticed, right? So
Yeah.
you can check like popular. There are some group that have like over 100 and something thousand members. There are some with 1 million members. The only thing is that you might not be able to join directly and start posting. You apply to join, and the application is not something hard. It's just to read their rules and regulation and then click on join.
Yeah.
Then once they approve, if you want to post anything, the admin will approve the post, right? And it will show up on the
Yeah.
group. So those are ways that you need to leverage. So like the truth is that leveraging social media would help you very fast. So even if you have zero experience, no background, no following, like nobody's following you, or you just created your account or whatever, within short period of time, when you start engaging with those tweets that I mentioned, you're engaging with those posts on LinkedIn, you start seeing change over time. Although you might not see people, maybe companies or CEOs to reach out to you, but it's something that you need to be consistent
With.
with,
Yeah.
and you should also show like you are interested. So because some people, for example, in the Web3 space last year, Web3 was like really, really, I think the hype was really big, right? Last year, 2021 ending, 2022, it was really big. I know some people rather that joined the space because of the money, and they started writing. And now they are nowhere to be found, right? Because the hype is not
There
like last
anymore.
year.
And
It's
passion.
now kind of calm, and people are now actually building something serious. So but now those people that join because of the money, because they just want to
So
get
the
quick
hype.
money,
Mm.
because of the app, they are nowhere to be found. Like they just quit the whole Web3 thing and go back to what they are doing before. So you should know that something you're passionate about, you are really, really interested in, then you keep pushing. You have interest also does not mean that you won't face challenges, right? Because you have interest and you are now seeing challenges, you feel like, oh, maybe this is not for me. No, try to stick around, try to find colleagues that are doing something similar to what you are doing. Check in with them, see what they are doing, you guys to kind of motivate each other, even if they are a step ahead of you or you are a step ahead of them. Being together will keep you motivated, or kind of keep you within that. I have somebody that's learning something similar with
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now, and you guys should just keep sharing ideas, throwing ideas to each other, and before you know it, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So quickly, because I know because of time as well, we want to be sure that we'll touch everything. I would say we mentioned networking and those other processes that you mentioned already.
Yeah.
In what place does or what's the place of tools to help you scale this whole thing, this whole process, and like you've given us a lot of nuggets, but what other
Yeah.
tools can you actually invest in, and not necessarily money, it could actually be time that will actually help you scale faster.
Yeah, so community content and all of those things are still something within this space. So if you need tools, I would say you should leverage YouTube very well.
Mm.
There are amazing content creators on YouTube, right? And you can learn from what they are doing. If you actually need tools, we don't have like specific tools within the space that okay, this is what you need, this is what you need, except those tools that you'll be using on a day-to-day as a community moderator, maybe some bots to moderate, to filter
Exactly.
spams from your Discord server, and also yeah, bots specifically for Discord server. And also maybe you have like a notepad where you guys throw kind of create ideas. You use Notion, yeah, Notion for documenting ideas, creating plans. Those are like the tools that you need for you to be active within the space. But when you're thinking about upskilling, learning, then you can think of Udemy, you can think of YouTube. Okay, Udemy is paid, right? You can think of YouTube, where, for example, you want to learn how to build community effectively, or you want to start a program called maybe an hackathon, and you don't even know where to start. So you could just Google it around and say, okay, how to create or how to start an
Okay.
hackathon within the Web3 space, or just try to pick a niche. You see content on those topic, and you can follow through listening to what they are doing. In fact, you can even decide to, from the search results, you can decide to choose the ones that you know that okay, this person might be from my location, so you might have the understanding of what I'm facing. Because
Mm.
the ecosystem is quite different, right? In the Europe, it's quite different from Africa. Africa is different from Asia, right?
Yeah.
So, and community members too are different. There are some things that work very well in Europe, but in Africa it's a big mess, right? And there are some things that works in Africa very well, but in Europe, is not their norms. Like they don't do that, right? So,
Okay.
which is not as if it's bad, but it's just that they are
Wasn't just
different
people
kind
look
of
out there.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are different kind of people. So you need to know your community members first before you even start thinking of how you want to level up. You need to know who you are dealing with. You need to know which type of community. So in this case, you might also be in two, three different communities, right?
Mm.
So you need to understand. Okay, this one's I think it's a mixture of um everyone in the world. We have like Europe, Asia, Africa. Maybe this one is just for people from Africa. Okay, this is what they're doing, this is what they like, this is the kind of response and all of that. So you can tell that way. When you want to upskill or learn about it, you can add it to your search query to bring relevant results for you, specific to
Yeah.
that particular use case that you want.
Okay, okay. So quickly on before we move on from the tools. So things like SEO, things like knowing how to use. But I think I've seen you post some things about the metrics. How does that help you find your research? You mentioned things about research, like researching
Yeah.
content about what works. So how can you do your own content like in very short time? How do you think you can just um, do your very quick bits on doing those research and actually
Yeah,
publishing
yeah.
the right content and distribute it the right way?
Yeah. So content creation is um I think research takes like 70 to 75%.
Mm-hmm.
Then the actual content is about 10%. Then review process is also about 10%, right?
Yeah.
So the reason is that even though you think you understand what you want to write about, you need to be sure that nothing has changed on the internet. So maybe
Mhm.
what you understood properly about that thing is now obsolete, or people or things have upgraded. You need to understand that. And another reason why you should also research is that personally, why I spend a lot of time researching is because I love to find missing things within article. So sometimes if you want to create a content, you might find out that there are tons of content like that online. So what
Yeah.
I spend more time doing is I would open like about 5 to 6 samples of those like similar content to what I want to write. I would
Mm.
go through them, try to see what is missing there. Maybe it's the way they kind of communicate that is not good, or maybe they have some missing features, or maybe they have some steps they just skip and just assume that everybody would know it, right? So those are the
Yeah.
kind of thing I try to look for in their own article. Then now my own tone is different, right? That's
Yeah.
another thing for me. That's another thing unique for me particularly. You need to research, so that research would open your mindset in what type of content you want to create and how you want to communicate to your readers with those particular content. That's like before Chat GPT, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So now, one mistake people do make is that they just go to Chat GPT and type in the outline or topic, and they just tell it to give them content, and that's it. They just copy and paste. And if imagine 1,000 people do the same thing, it means that they get the same content. Like
Yeah,
somehow it
exactly.
will be related, the tone will be related. So there are few hacks to it that you can use. One thing you need to understand is that ChatGPT, if you fill it in with information that is unique for you, then now ask it to give you content. That's the only way you can get a unique content from ChatGPT. But if you don't fill it in with information, if you don't tell it like a background on what you are doing, you will never get a unique response, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you can also use it for SEO tips, right? You can tell it, okay, this is the topic I want to write about. In fact, before you even settle with your topic, you can say, hey, ChatGPT, this is my topic, and is it SEO friendly? It will
Mm.
tell you. If it is not, it will kind of suggest like a few um something similar, but something that is SEO friendly. So that's one. Then after you get that, you can tell ChatGPT, um maybe on your own, go to Google, copy and paste that title that ChatGPT gave you, paste it to Google. There's a particular section on Google that says similar, what people are searching for, right? You see so many keywords there. Copy all of those keywords. Go back to ChatGPT. Tell ChatGPT that all these things, they are part of something I want to appear on my content. Do you understand? Then put put a question mark. Then when you supply ChatGPT with those keywords and give
Yeah.
it a question mark, it will ask you, okay, I've received that. What do you want me to do now? Then if you have any keywords, any approach on your own that you want it to do, you can tell it, okay, I also want you to make sure that when you're communicating, you don't use third party, you use your pronoun, you use a pronoun like you and your throughout the content. You don't mix it up with we or our. So you
Mm.
can tell it like that, and ask it, do you understand? Why you're asking it, do you understand, is because you want it to feed in, take in all of those information. Then after you've like supplied those information, then you can now tell ChatGPT, now create content for me with this title article. Or you might not even say create content, you might say create an SEO friendly tips for me based on this article using the information I already gave you. So now you've already feed it in with information. Then what ChatGPT will do for you is to give you an SEO friendly tips, but not just random one that literally, if about 1,000 people asked, like 500 would get like something similar. So it will give you something unique based on what you feed in
Yeah.
and give you a correct output, which makes it unique. So that's like the word before. That's the word
Now.
right now, I would say.
Yeah.
Like after you're doing all of those research. But that doesn't stop you from doing your research on Google. And again, remember that ChatGPT has its own tone. Remember that maybe you need to keep your own style, your own tone, something that you can, just wake up one day and start creating content. That kind of tone is unique to you. ChatGPT does not understand that. It's just there to give you content to help
Yeah.
you with solutions, but it doesn't. It has its own tone per se. So if you want to tone anything, you need to make sure that you are not dubbing content from what
Exactly. That's what I
ChatGPT
think.
gives. Yeah, so you can basically use that as an like a great tool for you to help um your content creation process faster.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I think you've given us a range of valuable knowledge, not just out the potentials in this role, or not even just how to start, how the day to day looks like, how the kind of relationship you need to foster to like scale faster in these places, even the tools that you need to
Yeah.
start using. I think the final question, just to wrap up this session, and we hope we can have you for a part two to like even dive deeper for any of these spaces based on questions that people might have. So I want to just ask a final question that says, um, where should you look? You've mentioned Twitter, you've mentioned YouTube. So what's the biggest thing you've done, and how does you looking in the right places help you to become a better community specialist? So even if you're that good now, you create content, you do this, you do that, and you're currently at a mid level for people that are currently doing these roles because they're already in the space, right? But they want to get to the top of the ladder. Like, where should they be? What do you think has worked for you? And that can be like your
Yeah.
personal message about this is what you need to do. Even if you are currently experienced in this space, these are the things, these are the places you need to learn to like be
Yeah.
and stay there and watch how things
Yeah.
are moving and push the
Yes.
development the way like move on.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, so you can decide to choose what you want, but one thing you should understand is that whatsoever platform you pick, you need to be consistent in that on that platform. So if it is LinkedIn, if it is Twitter, for me personally, I leverage mostly on while I was starting out, I leverage on both Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook groups, right? At some point, I wasn't using LinkedIn much. I would just do Twitter and Facebook group. And then later on, I moved to Twitter and LinkedIn. Twitter and LinkedIn. I do normally forget Facebook group, but over time, I would say those are like the three platforms I use, right? To spread my content and also just keep it locked in there. Try to see what is going on, be consistent on those platforms. I don't want to be active in all platform at the same time because at the end of the day you won't be consistent. So if you are on one platform, you can easily drive engagement to any other platform. And also you already have like a pattern or a flow of how you disseminate information. So that way it will help you when you are active on LinkedIn. If you want to join the Twitter community, you already know a few things that work for you while creating posts, content on LinkedIn. You can use similar strategy to at least start on Twitter. Then over time, before you start understanding how Twitter algorithm works and all of that. So same as LinkedIn also, if you are going from Twitter to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn also has its own like algorithm for feeds, to give you feeds based on what you're searching for, what you're interested in. So those are like the two platforms I would say you should keep it locked in. And if you have like on those platforms also, you might find like few authors, marketers, leaders, developer leads, and developer relation leads, all of those guys on Twitter. So most of them, if they are actively creating video content, you can just follow them on YouTube, right? Subscribe to their channel, turn on notification, and you get notification when they post video content, which is not just written content on Twitter. So that way, if you don't have like anybody in mind for YouTube, so you already know them on Twitter, you now subscribe to their YouTube, means that you know them very well and you really want to benefit from what they are doing. So those are like the platform I would say you should keep it locked in with, and try to pay attention to, and most importantly, trust the process. You need to trust the process of what you're currently doing, your learning phase. You need to understand that you are learning. You need to understand that no pressure, but at the same time, understand that this is a learning process. You're on a mission, and
Yeah.
you just need to keep showing up every day. Even if when you show up today, you just do one thing and leave, but you need to keep showing up every day.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think this will be the end of this episode. We hope would have wanted to just continue and keep getting all these nuggets, the punchlines, the specific wins, how to make these things work. But what to put an into it today. Just as a
Yeah.
recap for everyone listening, that says community management. Like you can hear what you said when you mentioned the salary range. That's $80,000. That's like the
So
standard
excuse me.
rate for quite a lot of roles, and the possibilities of doing it globally. This man right here is a global person. He has done different events, different speaking engagements with global companies. That is one huge potential of community relations. That's how fast it can take you, and scale faster from any industry, blockchain, AI, metaverse. All of these buzz will rise again, right? And the demand for this role will even skyrocket. So it's best that you get started now, start lurking, start joining those community that are interested in, start writing the content, start positioning yourself, start churning out great content, use ChatGPT, use social media, all the great tips he has given us today. Get started. And the best way, the even next best thing is that you have access to this man, courtesy of Growthverse, and you can reach out to him on his Twitter account, on Web3 Africa's account, and you can ask him any question and just tell him you're from Growthverse. So that way he knows where you're coming from, and he knows how to tailor whatever answers he's going to give to you. We're so grateful to have you today, and thank you for the time. Thank you for all the special tips and the revelations as well of how these things work.
Yeah,
Um,
you're welcome.
Everyone, thank you. Catch you in the next one.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.